And welcome to the Beyond the Dollar Signs podcast with your host, Mark Taylan. Mark, good to be with you. How are you?
Hi, Bill. It's great to see you.
It's always good to get together with you, but I'm looking forward to today's episode because you have a guest and you're going to be talking about a product that a lot of people, I think, sometimes don't want to talk about. They want to avoid having a conversation about. And so without further ado, Mark, I turn it over to you for the podcast.
Yes, I'd like to welcome a good friend of mine, Dorotea Tuzon. She's a State Farm agent out of Northern California. Today's topic is the importance of protecting your assets and your loved ones using life insurance as a tool. So Dorotea, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you on.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark. It's an honor to be here, to be part of your podcast.
Thank you. So insurance, right? I know we've known each other for many years, but I've never heard the backstory. What got you interested in insurance and what made you enter the industry?
I've been in the insurance industry for 8.5 years. And before that, I was a project manager for Google, managing their wireless accounts. So that's with different accounts with T-Mobile, with Verizon, and other carriers. And I love what I do at Google. But one of my friends' family approached me regarding the insurance. And basically, they said, "Hey, I know that you have a business mindset. I think it will be a good idea for you to be in the insurance industry." But then at that time, I wasn't ready because I am enjoying what I do. I enjoy the perks of Google. I enjoy my colleagues, my manager. So it took me 2 years to get to know about the insurance. So I did my research. I wanted to know about the commitment that I have to commit to this business. And at the same time, I've seen some of the life experiences of my friends, my family, and that made me realize that insurance is needed and it needs to be discussed with individuals. Either it's through either because of auto, home, their umbrella policy, and life insurance. And like Bill says, life insurance, not many wants to discuss about it. They try to avoid about it. But guess what? Something is guaranteed in this life, which is death. That's why I am here to make sure that everyone is prepared just in case something happened unexpectedly. And I am there to help them.
That's a great story. And, it sounds like you're really passionate about helping your family and helping clients. Can you walk us through, it's a difficult situation, I think, sometimes to talk about our mortality, right? And death and what happens if something happens to myself. Can you walk us through how life insurance specifically can help protect your assets, number one, and then also, two, how does that translate to protecting your family?
When I'm talking to my customer, I don't just talk immediately about life insurance. What I do is basically we go over all of their insurance needs. We go through their auto, their home. We need to protect all that, what they have, right? But then I would mention to them that, guess what? You have this protection for all these liabilities that you have. But you don't have protections for your life because one instance, when something happened to you, all those that things that you work hard for could be gone in the instant that you pass away. But there is a way to protect that by acquiring a life insurance. And on that discussion, we talk about how much coverage they have, why they need to have this, especially if they have a mortgage. They want to make sure, I want to discuss that with them, that they need to have some kind of protection just in case something happened to them. So their mortgage will be paid off and that their family will be taken care of when they passes away. So it is a good way to protect them. To protect their what they work hard for, and also to make sure that their family will be taken care of.
I see. In that process of evaluating, their liabilities, what else goes into that? I mean, I think of life insurance also as certainly if you've got a household, a husband, wife, you've got so many things to consider, right? You've got to consider the household liabilities. You've got to consider, the monthly expenses, like the income that they bring in on a regular basis. So if you lose one of the spouses, I always think of it of you just lost potentially 50% of the household income.
Yes.
So in addition to the liabilities that you have to address, I'm always fascinated and wanted to know what is from an insurance agent's perspective, how do you replace the income? What's the calculation that determines above and beyond the liabilities, how do you solve for replacing an income?
There are ways to do it. So one is ask both of the husband and wife, what are their priorities? If something happened to them, what do you want to be taken care of first? So is it the mortgage? So if that's the case, how long do you have for your mortgage? Then maybe if you just acquired this mortgage, then maybe we should have a 30-year life insurance coverage for that. Now, after paying
Hmm.
off the mortgage, what else do we need to take care of? What about the education? And if the wife is not working, then of course probably she needs more um, funds to make sure that the rest of liabilities and also for future, not just for 10 years, maybe for many more years. So just imagine maybe they need either uh, 10 times of the income of the spouse, or it could be more, 10 to
Hmm.
15 years that they should consider.
Wow.
And then sometimes there are some hesitation of maybe they can't afford it, or they said it is not as important. But if we just go through detail and then just explain it to them why it is important, most of them would really think about it. They may not say yes right away, but then sometimes their surroundings, their family, something happens around them that they will realize that it is very important to have that coverage to life insurance.
I see. And you brought up a few points that I was thinking about. If a mortgage is 30 years, right?
Hmm.
Then, you do want to have that coverage. I guess you base the coverage based on the length of time those liabilities will be in place. But at some point, you talked about cost. Do you get the insurance? What is your take on a term insurance policy versus a permanent policy?
Yes. Well, term insurance, I explain to my customer that it is a temporary. This is great for maybe for someone who's just starting. Maybe their budget is limited. So we look at what they can afford. I would recommend again that depending on their liabilities to have that as much coverage. But if they can only afford, let's say, $100,000 or 300,000 coverage, then let's get that started first, and then maybe after 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. Your financial change, then we can review that again, and maybe by that time we could increase it. However, there are some people who can afford the whole life insurance. I explain it to them that this is permanent. It's almost like renting. Uh, Term is like renting, and then whole life is to cover for the rest of your life. It's like a mortgage. Once you pay it off, it's yours. Plus, you have that cash value, guaranteed cash value, and then at the same time, there's an opportunity for dividends, depending on how the company do for their financial. Then there's a possibility that they could share that dividends to their insureds. So it depends on the customer situations and how they can afford it or what's really important for them at that time. And then of course, I always suggest my customer to make sure that we review it if something changed, or at least schedule it every 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. It depends on their schedule.
I've seen this concept, and that is you start with term insurance initially because of the affordability factor, right? Because if in the Bay Area, you're carrying a mortgage of half a million, $1 million, that's a big policy just right there. And then if you're adding on replacement of income and education and all these different things, that could be a multi-million-dollar policy. But there's a term that I often see, and which is the conversion ability, meaning that I believe that, and you please correct me if I'm wrong, it's where you have a term insurance to begin with, but at some point down the line, you maybe can convert that. Is that a viable option in today's world?
It is. I do have a couple of customers. We would talk about it, and then I would suggest to have a big policy coverage at the beginning. Um, let's say for now, just get like a 10-year term or 20-year term, and then after a few years, maybe that portion of that, you could convert it to a whole life. You don't have to convert the entire policy. So if you still have, let's say, if you purchase $1 million policy, and then after 20 years, you only owe on your mortgage, let's say, $500,000, then you just need to convert portion of your $1 million to what you just need, and still keep both of the policies. Some portion which is term insurance, and then some portion will be the permanent insurance.
I see. Yeah, I always say when clients are considering term insurance, just as you mentioned, that is only good for that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's not a term insurance. I see it from a financial advisor standpoint. It's protection for that period of time. It's the what if. It's not an asset that, you're looking to pass. Now, whole life on the other hand is permanent insurance, right? And so from that standpoint, I see that there's legacy. It's a potentially an asset, right? Maybe from
Mm-hmm.
dividends or a cash value can be used for multiple applications, but I can see the both. And it sounds like you just have to be real flexible, like you've mentioned, right? It depends on the needs of the client, the financial ability of the client to afford the policy, and really what kind of insurance coverage they want. Is that true?
That is correct. Yes, that is true. And if there will be times where if let's say we submitted an application and the customer was approved for the best rating, then before they accept the policy, then let's review it again. Maybe that is a time for them to increase the coverage because they got the best deal. So before issuing the policy, I always talk to the customers like, let's go over this just to make sure this is what you want. But guess what? There's a better, because you got a better rating. We could increase this for maybe 25% more or 50% more of what we
Mm,
applied for. So it's good to always talk to the customer for every step of the way when purchasing a life insurance. And also it's good to make sure that they have a good relationship with their agent, because that agent will be their best friends for anything that happens to them. The first thing that they normally call, either an accident or death in the family, the first one they normally call will be their insurance agent.
Gosh, I all of a sudden these questions pop up in my mind as we're talking. Um, I'm thinking about, you mentioned a good point about health. And so we have a little bit of time to talk about underwriting. What's involved with getting an insurance policy, and is it unlimited? I mean, can somebody, number one, what qualifies them? I'm assuming health, but as well as how do they determine which amount? You're going to help them determine the amount of that. But what's the underwriting process like?
Yeah, so the underwriting process normally, if I am the underwriting, I normally ask them what's their lifestyle. Do they like mountain climbing? Do they like paragliding? Those are the high risk that maybe we don't want to take and as an are insured, because that is such a high risk. Also, if you like racing, we don't want that. We also look at the driving record. So if you had a DUI, or if you have multiple violations or accident, then that's a high risk as well. And of course, if you are a smoker, we would take you. It depends also on your health. But if you are a smoker, we do have a rating for a smoker, but of course, that is higher premium compared to someone who has a standard rating or in a good health rating.
So somebody with, I imagine that you're going to run into folks that have some pre-existing conditions, right? Maybe their health is moderate. What happens in those scenarios?
Yeah. So when we are taking applications, we normally ask those questions. If they are taking any medications, if they have an existing um, um, health conditions, if they have such a really bad condition, of course, we have to check with our underwriter. And depends if they had cancers and all that, then there's a possibility that they might be declined, or it could be in a higher rating.
Higher rating, which means that they would have just a higher premium for the coverage they want, I'm guessing, right?
Correct. It is going to be a higher premium, or there's a possibility that they may get declined. So although they may get declined for that policy, there are still some options. It may not be immediately, or there are some products that's available for them.
Hmm. So, Dorotea, I always think about this. A lot of people hesitate maybe on price, on the terms, whether they really need insurance. Could you share a story? And have you ever seen this where it made all the sense in the world for the client to move forward with life insurance, and then something happened where they became uninsurable?
Yes. Oh, I can tell you, about 2 years ago, I had a customer, who is young, and she's a single mom, and then she has two kids. And we were reaching out to her multiple times about the life insurance, but at the beginning she said, "No, I'm okay. I'm still young." But then finally, we were able to talk to her and convince her that, you know, think about what could happen to you if in case something happened to you, what will happen to your kids. And so she finally taken the life insurance. And after a year of talking to her, she was diagnosed with cancer. So
Oh, no.
when she told me about that, myself and my team, we felt good about it because we know for sure that her kids will be taken care of if in case something happened, because of what she's going through. Um, we have the proper protection for her, and also for not giving up. Explaining how important it is to have a life insurance for something unexpected, such as her health condition. We will be able to take care of her children, and she has that peace of mind.
Yeah, I commend you for doing that, and you and your team for doing that. You've made such a difference in the lives of of many families, I'm sure. As we wrap up today, as a financial advisor, I definitely know the value of life insurance, and I've seen how it impacts families. Even just doing an audit, like you had mentioned earlier, means all the difference in the world, right? I had a client very similar, probably about 15 years ago. We were reviewing everything. And one of the gaps that I saw was they were missing insurance. And just as you say, life is unexpected
Hmm.
and you never know what's going to happen. And
Yes.
it changed their life. I mean, unfortunately, he passed early, but the fact that we had life insurance really made an impact on his family. So I commend the work that you do. I can you share a little bit really quickly as we're wrapping up? So you're in Northern California and you have a team. Can you tell us a little about your practice and how do folks reach you?
Yeah. So um, The name of our agency, it's Dorotea Tuzon Insurance Agency, and we are here in California, in Milpitas. We have a team here that works for over 1,000 of customers, and we would like to help more people to discuss about the coverage that they need. And we are not just talking about just a one-time appointment. We are here to talk to you about your current situation, what possible, what are the coverage that you need, and also how we could make sure to protect your assets. I always suggest to my customer to make sure to always talk to professional, talk to someone who's expert when it comes to insurance, and then talk to an expert when it comes to investments, such as Mark, as a financial advisor. Because once you have that connection to the proper agent or professional, you have that relationship. We are here for you, and we will make sure that you'll be taken care of for every step of the way.
Thank you. And thank you again for being on the show today. It's been an honor to have this time with you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Dorotea. We really appreciate your time and the information that you shared. You know, Mark, we kind of touched on this a couple of times during the course of it, but people don't like to talk about life insurance because, well, the other side of life is death. But it's the one guarantee. We are going to all at some point pass from this life. And it is a discussion that is smart to be had and good to sit down with your financial advisor or your insurance agent and talk about. Mark, for people who are listening to this podcast who, they've got Dorotea's information on how to get a hold of her, but if they want to reach out and maybe get a hold of you, what is the best way for them to do that?
So our contact is in the show notes, and they can schedule an appointment with us by Zoom or come by the office.
Absolutely. And I would encourage you to do that. The other thing I'd ask that you do, it's really simple, just hit the follow button. Become a subscriber. Because once you're a subscriber, you're automatically notified when a new edition of Mark's podcast is released. And you can give that one a listen as well. If you like it, share it, tell people about it, please. Word of mouth promotion is very much appreciated. In this day of when you don't know who's recommending what, it's good to have a friend tell you something they like and that they found useful. So until next time, on behalf of Mark and everybody at 360 Advisors, I'm Bill Tucker, thanking you for taking the time to listen today, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Dollar Signs Financial Clarity. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at advisors360pwm.com or give us a call at 408-778-8280. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Advisors 360. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions that you may have regarding your investment planning. ECA does not provide tax or legal advice. Guest opinions are their own. It may not reflect those of ECA. The viewer is encouraged to seek their own individualized tax and legal advice from a qualified professional.